Three, two, one. Forget it, Jake. It's Sardonicast. I'm Adam from Your Movie Sucks.
I'm Ralph for Ralph the Movie Maker.
And I'm Alex from IHE, and what was that one? You're going to catch me up. My brain is frazzled from watching so many movies.
It's only like the most quoted line from the film recommendation of today, the end of the episode.
Yeah.
That's all right. I had
Yeah,
to.
you're right.
I forgot the first word, and I had to look it up again. I was like, "What?"
It's just one of those days. The Oscars just does it to me, man.
It's just one of those days where everything sucks. Everything is fucked. I don't even know how that song goes.
True.
Oscars happened yesterday from the date of recording this.
And we loved
The
it, right?
dumpster fire. No, I didn't watch it. I was working.
It was the most boringest Oscars of all time, and then a couple funny things happened near the end.
So you're the only one that watched it, Adam. I know Ralph and I didn't bother.
Oh, yeah. I did a whole
No, I
commentary.
can't stand that shit, but
We made
Yeah.
it bearable,
Yeah.
I guess.
good.
All I heard about was Anthony and
Yeah.
what happened there.
Yeah,
So what happened?
they changed around the order without saying they would beforehand. It was just a complete surprise. There was so much about the Oscars this year that was just like out of nowhere. Best Picture just showed up before Best Actor and Best Actress. And that was really weird. And they didn't say they would do that. It was just like, what? Did they forget Best Actor and Actress? Like, are they not doing it? And so it's like, oh, Best Picture, Nomadland. Okay, I guess that was the one they were going to pick, and they're just going to be predictable about it. All right. And then, so everybody's thinking like, okay, well, why would they possibly do that? Oh, it's probably because they just want to end on Chadwick Boseman and have some sort of like, I don't know, like tribute play or, some uplifting moment or I don't know. Like, clearly that's what they were leaning towards. And then it was like, Best Actor goes to the father, Anthony Hopkins. And then it just ended, and Anthony Hopkins didn't give an acceptance speech. He wasn't there. He didn't send any video in. Like, the whole thing
Did he just
ended
not
and nothing
know?
happened. It was like really weird. But yeah, Anthony Hopkins
Wow.
posted a belated acceptance speech to his Instagram. It was very short. He was like, "Oh, I didn't expect this. Thank you. Also, Chadwick Boseman's great. Thanks. Bye." It was like really quick because he doesn't like the Oscars. He doesn't give a shit about it. He's spoken negatively about the whole thing before, so.
Well, that's awesome. He
Oh,
got
really?
one.
Yeah, I
Good for
mean,
him.
it was easily one of the best performances of the year, so it's not undeserved. I don't think Chadwick Boseman would have been undeserved either. He did a great job. He was the best part of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, in my opinion. But yeah, it seems like everybody, including the producers of the show, expected that to happen, and then it just didn't. And then it was really awkward and weird. And it was so fucking... I guess, yeah, I'll just rant about this for a little second because I'm the only one that saw it. But it was so fucking weird. At the beginning of the Oscars, they did the screenplay categories, and they didn't show any clips of the movies. We didn't even realize that was happening. Usually we do this thing where we try to guess which ones it is before they say the answer. And
Yeah.
it caught all of us off guard. They already said, there was like, oh, and Best Original Screenplay goes to Promising Young Woman. We were like, what? It was happening? Like, they didn't show any clips from the movies. And then,
Right.
they did for a lot of other categories, but just screenplay, they didn't. And then it's like, oh, I guess this is a pretty tight year. They won't waste any time with any nonsense. And then in the middle of the show, they do this like, we're doing some Oscars song trivia. And it was this whole fucking staged, complete bullshitty, annoying thing where they just like, they were like, okay, we're going to play some songs, and then we're going to ask one of you celebrities, is this an Oscar-winning original song, or was it nominated, or did it not get nominated at all? And so the first two reactions looked genuine. He asked like somebody, and then Daniel Kaluuya, and it was all clearly leading to Glenn Close, and this one was so fucking staged. And I don't know, maybe perhaps she had some sort of like PR move where it was like, okay, I gotta brighten up my image to make it seem like I'm not like super conservative racist just because I appeared in like what was that movie, Hillbilly Elegy, that people are taking issue with. Like, I don't even understand the big controversy
really?
behind it, but like,
Oh, yeah, I haven't heard of this.
yeah, and so they go up to her and it's like, oh, what's this song? She's like, she pretends not to know for a second, and she's like, oh, it's this one, and it's like clearly, like not a white song, and then she's like, oh, but do you know the dance? And she's like, and like pretends not to know, and then she gets up and starts like basically twerking, and it was like, oh, this is just the fucking cringiest shit, and so obviously staged. Like it was the most unbearably fake, stupid thing, and I was so mad. I'm like, well, can you just spend 1 year not doing something so ridiculous and just proving to everybody that you're a bunch of dishonest assholes? Like, it was just, I got mad at that point. But yeah.
And how long is the whole thing? How long does it take to sit
It was like
through?
3 hours.
Yeah, man. Yeah. All the points
That's a
you're
lot.
saying are the exact reason I've like never watched it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
3 hours of just the celebrities jerking themselves off. Like, I can't be doing with it. I can.
You can just watch 2 of the nominated movies in that time.
Yeah, or just
Yeah.
read the list when the winners are revealed the next day. Like read the
Yeah,
Guardian.
as they're coming out,
Yeah.
do something else.
Yeah. It was annoying and cringe, but cringe is my bread and butter. That's how I make a living. So
There were some good movies in there, nonetheless.
yeah,
Yeah.
like all but a couple of them were like the most predictable things in the world. The short film categories were sadly predictable in ways where it's like, okay,
Yeah,
it's
but
obvious
no one's seen
that they're
those.
gonna.
I don't care about those.
I saw all of them, and I knew which
Oh, you
short
did?
film that
Okay.
they were gonna pick for live action because it was so bad, but like so pandering. I was
Mhm.
like, yeah, they'll pick this one, and they did,
Right.
and they do that every year, and it's so ridiculous. I don't know. It was like easily the worst one by like anyone's measurement, but the Academy probably didn't watch them. I don't know.
Yeah.
It
I'd
was
only
just so
seen a
pandering.
few of the nominated movies. I haven't seen Promising Young Woman, so I have to see that. I have to see The Father.
Yeah, I'm interested to
but
hear
I've
what
seen
you
everything
think.
else. I'm very happy Tenet won Best Special Effects or Visual
Mm-hmm.
Effects, because Tenet won something, right? So that's good.
Yeah, I was happy about that.
At what point are they visual effects in Tenet, and at what point are they just storyboarding and editing decisions?
Well,
Right.
you don't really know. That's what makes them good visual
Okay.
effects, right?
Yeah.
Do, 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 do. I'm just thinking of the music and cars going in reverse.
Alex, what did you think of Promising Young Woman?
Oh, you did see that one.
Well, yeah, I was interested in the movie because I saw your negative reaction to it.
Yeah.
So I hopped in, and I can't say I love it, but I did like it.
Okay.
I was quite intrigued by it. I don't think it fully worked by the end, but I was kept along by the story. It had enough going for it. I thought it had some twists and turns that kept me going, but it was more the tone I was getting confused on, because the movie's kind of structured around. Actually, I don't know if I can really say without spoiling. I guess I shouldn't really spoil it in our Oscars discussion because we want people to be.
It's structured around a politically charged event that is in the main character's past, some related way.
Yeah, it's obviously very relevant
Oh.
with the whole Me
Yeah.
Too kind of stuff that's going on. But I was more, from the trailers and the poster and everything, I was interpreting it more as a more B-movie-ish, almost like Dexter, but for sexual assault people,
Yeah.
like kind of movies. But and the first half of the movie almost kind of tries to convince you that it is going to be one of those, and then the second half it kind of winds down a different direction. And
Mhm.
I was finding fun in the way it was twisting and turning, and you weren't really able to guess where it was going. But where it was letting me down was the presentation in the script, because I found so many bad sequences of
Yeah.
just unconvincing dialogue. And there's I think one of the best examples of what I'm talking about is there's a scene in the movie, I won't be spoiling anything major,
Sure.
but there's a scene with a lawyer played by Alfred Molina, and I was excited because Alfred Molina, great actor, big into him showing up. And I mean, a lot of the actors in the movie are great, but it's the material they're working with, because in that scene with the lawyer, it does boil down into this kind of really oversimplified, over-explaining, or so much of the movie works on these mysteries that you don't know
Mhm.
or aren't supposed to know yet. So a lot of the conversations are about, oh, I remember that time this thing happened, oh, I remember that detail, and there are pros and cons to it, because the intrigue and the mystery of it is what keeps you interested. But then by the end of the story, it all unfolds. You're like, well, I can't say I ever necessarily want to sit through that again. And
Yeah.
I don't know if the message of the movie, it kind of boils down into more a simplistic revenge tale about an important subject matter. But
Yeah.
It was unfortunately messy in its execution, I found.
Yeah, I
but
agree.
Still entertaining.
I didn't absolutely hate it. I just thought it was the worst of the nominees, and honestly, I don't know. It did feel more like a B horror movie than than an Oscars movie.
Well, yeah, I've got to say it does stand out.
Yeah,
next
just for
to
being
all
different,
the
I
other
guess.
nominees.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah, it definitely stands out.
it's one of those fucking things where I'm like, okay, if you're gonna start nominating like weird horror movie type things, like this is the one. Like, oh, fuck off. You know, like it's just one of those things where I would rather Hereditary have gotten like a nomination or something. You know, there's like more recent like things that you wouldn't expect the Oscars to put in their roster, but they did this one probably because of the politics behind it. Maybe they thought it was a great movie too, I guess. Carey Mulligan was great, but like I'm a type of person where even if I agree with the political messages in the film, that doesn't necessarily make it a good movie to me. That doesn't mean that it can't be like sloppily presented. That doesn't mean that I can't consider it preachy. And this film did feel pretty fucking preachy, despite me agreeing with the messages in the film.
It's like when Get Out won Best Original Screenplay.
I would say Get Out had a better screenplay than Promising Young Woman.
Yeah.
And I guess they both won.
And better presentation, too.
Yeah, they both won screenplay, so...
Yeah. How about Nomadland? Because that's another one that's like a controversial
Boring.
choice. Some people don't like that one. Boring. Well, Chloe Zhao won Best Director for that.
She most boring director.
Yeah, I liked what I saw of it. I only watched half of it because I was trying to cram in
saw
as
the
many
best half.
of the nominations as I could. Oh,
really?
Okay. I was enjoying it in that kind of slow exploring people who've been forgotten or left by, you know, society and economic crashes, kind of like Leave No Trace or I, Daniel Blake, that kind of movie.
I, Daniel Blake's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Leave No Trace I wasn't big on, though.
Leave No Trace is all right.
Yeah, I didn't really get to see where it went. I was enjoying the performances and the naturalistic kind of style of it and the environments and everything. But,
okay, well, let me know when you finish the rest of it.
Yeah, I definitely will check it out. But yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't striking me the way The Father or Judas and the Black Messiah did.
Yeah, those are my two faves from the Best Picture nominees.
Yeah, Judas and the Black Messiah was good. Minari, I think, deserved more. It got Best Supporting Actress, which is good. I thought Minari is probably the best movie nominated.
Yeah, I wouldn't
One
have
of the
been mad
best.
if that took home Best Picture instead of Nomadland. It also feels a bit more like an Oscar movie. Nomadland, I have no idea why there's so much hype around it, honestly. I really don't get it.
Chloe Zhao, she's going to direct the Eternals for Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why there's a lot of...
I made
That's,
that joke. when I
that's
was
seriously
watching
why
it,
there's a
and I
lot
was
of
like,
hype for it. It's okay, but who cares? Yeah, exactly.
Do you think it's
the movie
really that
itself is probably
cynical?
nothing special. Yeah, it is that cynical.
Yeah, because I had the same thought float in my head, and I was like, surely not. Come on.
There's no doubt in my
Sure.
brain it's that cynical now.
Yeah, fucking Shaka King didn't even get a nomination for Black Messiah. And I thought his directing was fantastic. And I also thought that Sean
Yeah.
Bobbitt probably deserved cinematography. Although Mank still had good cinematography too, but
Mhm.
I love Sean Bobbitt.
Yeah, a lot of my favorite ones won the technical awards, like Mank won cinematography.
Yeah.
Costume design for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and all that stuff. The Tenet for visual effects.
Yeah.
How about animated feature?
I mean, it was obvious. Everybody already knows.
Surprising one.
A lot of people loved Wolfwalkers, but knew it was never going to happen.
Was it surprising?
No, it wasn't. It was the least
Not at all.
surprising thing ever.
It is kind of surprising in that, you know, they keep choosing the same shit.
It was the least surprising. How does that make it not? How does that make it surprising that they?
I'm
that
waiting
it's
for them to
consistent?
just finally
That's the
pick
opposite
one
of
that's like
surprising.
maybe
Yeah.
Windwalkers is the one where they finally let it go to not Pixar.
If Soul wasn't
Wind
there, it would
Waker.
have been a more interesting list. But
Yeah, I'm not surprised by it at all. It's the one that
Mhm.
their kids saw, and also it was nominated for 2 other Oscars, and Wolfwalkers was not.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah,
Do you
whatever.
guys like looking at like the outliers, like the movies that they got nominated but they didn't win anything? They're actually kind of like frowned upon. Like
Yeah?
one of
Which
them
ones
is
are they?
News of the World with Tom Hanks.
That was I don't know why
Like,
that
no
was
one's seen
nominated for
that shit.
anything. Honestly,
Right, that's what I
Um,
mean. It's
yeah,
like
for Best
nominated, but
Sound.
no one likes it. And
Nobody
then another
watched
big
it.
one I think is the Trial of the Chicago 7, which is like Aaron Sorkin written, and
did
I
that
saw a
win
lot
nothing?
of negative things written about that one. It won nothing.
Good.
And it was nominated for a lot, but everyone saw as like
Yeah.
everyone saw that one as the kind of Oscar bait.
that would have been
film,
the Green
one
Book
that
of
was
this year.
kind of right, and that's why they kind of steered away from that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's bad. I haven't seen it, but it seems like kind of that film.
It's
and people don't really
fine.
want that. Minari is like much better suited for the Oscars, but it's not an Oscar bait movie. That's why I really like. It's like just a straightforward drama.
Yeah, it's a personal
and really great characters,
story from
very personal, right?
The filmmakers.
And I feel the themes of it are like very relevant now, and it has a lot to like a lot of people, right? Yeah. And Trial of Chicago 7's like whatever.
I'd like to take a moment to complain about 0 nominations for I'm Thinking of Anythings, which whatever.
Duh.
Charlie Kaufman fanboy over here. I get it. But you look at some of the list of nominations, some of the categories, they had a best adapted screenplay nomination for Borat 2. That's what you do when you can't think of anything else to nominate. Is nominate an ad-libbed movie, like a movie where like you don't really have a script, and like
that's weird,
you seriously couldn't think of something to nominate, and I'm just here sitting like, oh fuck, come on, like Toni Collette, David Thewlis easily could have had nominations. Makeup and hairstyling, that one seems so fucking obvious to me. Like that, it was they paid attention to the characters' teeth as they aged. Like fuck, it was so incredibly realistic. The performances were great. Editing, that's a big one. Like there are intentional editing choices for the film in terms of like what points are the cuts made. Like right after a word will say something about like the story and the characters. Right, the whole dreamlike pacing to it. That's like such a clear editing choice, and it's just like fuck. And then they have editing nominations for like Promising Young Woman and The Father, which I mean I liked The Father a lot. I don't know what about the editing was so special though. They just threw in a bunch of like movies that were nominated for Best Picture.
And Promising Young Woman won Best Original Screenplay, which I find strange out of the list.
I was expecting that. It seemed like that would be what it won.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins. How many Oscars is that for him?
2, right?
I don't know.
More?
At least 2, I think.
It's been like 30 plus years since his last one.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, production design, instead of News of the World being nominated, they could have nominated Charlie Kaufman's movie.
And yeah, I mean, pick
one.
a category, pick a shitty movie. You could have just squeezed that one out to make room for like a really good movie.
To make room, yeah, exactly. That's what they're for anyway. Like half of these awards they're getting nominated for are relevant.
Yeah,
like I think all of these movies have good production design. Like if the production design was bad, then they would ruin the movie, right? Like how does a movie get Best Director, Best Actor, but not get Best Picture? Because that happens all the time. If a movie has like the best everything, how is it not getting the Best Picture? That's why the awards just don't make any sense to me.
I don't know. It's just it's what they vote for. So there's like more of an agreement on some than others, maybe.
Usually the best screenplay movies win. Like the ones that win, I think those are the best films overall of that year. In this case, I think it was like Mank and Minari.
I just noticed Mulan is on here.
Yeah.
More than once. Really? We got
costume and
best,
effects, I think.
Yeah, best costume and effects.
It's like the worst movie ever.
Yeah, that goes back to your point, doesn't it, Ralph, about the Disney.
They buy everything. Well, Suicide Squad won for that one year.
Oh, yeah.
True, but at least Disney doesn't own that.
That's true.
Oscar-winning Suicide Squad. Well, we all watched some other movies that are sure to win some Oscars.
Good. Thank God. Good riddance.
Yeah, this is for next year.
I want to hear what Alex has to say about what did you call the versus Kong? What did you call the movie?
I've been calling it Dingle versus Kong.
Dingle.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Just because.
I got just because the word dingle's just been stuck in my vocabulary lately.
Yeah.
And it's fitting too because this movie is just a big piece of shit to me.
Yeah.
I do have to preface. I've never been one for these kaiju movies. That I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for from these.
You're supposed to have a boner because the big thing is crushing the buildings. And there's
but then
deaths.
You know what? In saying that, I can get down with like Pacific Rim. I can get down with Shin Godzilla from a few years ago. I like those.
Oh yeah, there's
there's more
a bit
going
more
on,
to
some
it.
creativity.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
in Pacific Rim, they got the action sequences, the kind of fun, just ideas being played
Those
around.
are far more modern, like monster action movies you're talking about. Those are like exciting. Those are inspired by the movies like Godzilla from like the 50s. But if you go back and watch those movies, they're really slow. And I get exactly what you're saying. They're slow as fuck. They're really boring. There's a couple scenes where you see them like crush a miniature town, but it's mostly just shit. Like terrible acting, plots that make no sense, bad effects.
I'm more alluring to the fact that this is supposed to kind of be the Avengers for this universe they've been building up, starting with Gareth Edwards' Godzilla from 2014.
So that's a part of it.
And
yeah.
Okay.
That's the first one. That's like the Iron Man of this universe. So this is Universal, right?
Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it must be Warner Brothers because it's on HBO.
Oh, it
Max,
is Warner Brothers. Okay.
Yeah, it's on
I know
HBO.
Universal was trying to do the same thing. Remember, they were trying to do it with the Mummy.
Yeah,
and
that was funny.
Frankenstein, like those guys, the Universal monsters.
Yeah, but I mean, like the Godzilla Kong shit. I mean, it makes more sense because like throughout all the Godzilla movies, there's been like Godzilla versus the fucking Mantis thing or Mecha Godzilla. Like, there's been a billion of those already, so it's like it's not out of the question for them to have like a.
And Godzilla versus Kong is already a movie, 1962. I saw the Japanese one, which is really it's terrible. But
I don't know if I would even consider this them forcing an extended universe. This just seems like a logical thing to do if you're doing Godzilla movies and Kong movies.
Yeah,
sure. And they set it up at least.
The reason I bring that up is because it does actually tie into the previous movies. You got the strange Millie Bobby Brown coming back. You have other returning characters.
Does it tie in any meaningful way, or is it just, hey, I recognize the character?
Meaningful, no.
There's nothing meaningful about it.
None of the human stuff in any of these movies, whether it be Kong Skull Island, the one from a few years ago that had Millie Bobby Brown again, I can't even remember the name, Gods and Monsters or whatever the hell it was.
King of Monsters?
They're all just a blur. And honestly, it feels like they're just getting worse and worse with each one. That Gareth Edwards' Godzilla, it had some okay ideas in it. He's a good visual director. I can remember moments from that movie. And the same with Kong
Dingle.
Skull Island, where that was, it's not great or anything, but again, it has some creativity. There's some action sequences. I remember the kind of stuff you want from that type
relatively
of movie.
Self-aware. It was forgettable too. But...
Yeah, then you go into the next one, which was Gods and Monsters, and honestly, I can barely remember anything about that one. And then you move on to Godzilla versus Kong, where they've kind of reinvigorated the aesthetic this time, where it goes full cartoon craziness, where it's all about like Hollow Earth and exploring underground and Kong finding like a throne and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, very bizarre. King of the Monsters was setting up a lot of things, but in this movie, it doesn't pay off any of them. It's just a bunch of really boring character development. And the kid from Hunt for the Wilder People, isn't it? The Skux Life. I introduced Skux Life chose me, and they got like nothing going on. He has nothing to do. And like while they're fighting this, like while the two monsters are fighting, they just cut to them in a lab somewhere. It's not interesting.
What the hell is it with Warner Brothers and doing these movies that are supposed to connect with each other, but their tones are all radically different because they're just different directors that don't have the same plan?
Yeah, well, I was going to mention the director of this one is Adam Wingard.
The DC shit, like the Snyderverse, and now this Dinkleverse.
The Kongverse.
Dingleverse.
The Dingleverse. Yeah, because, like, obviously, dumb Wingard loves his 80s aesthetic. He did this whole, like, neon, like, buildings fight scene and, all that synth music throughout the film. So it's like, this is a dumb Wingard film for sure.
Rebecca Hall's in it, like, doing nothing. Like, that's what I mean about the characters. They're so... Like, they get good actors and they do nothing. These good actors are just along for the ride because it says in their contracts that they have to be in sequels and they get paid a lot of money to be in them, but they don't do anything. Millie Bobby Brown's in it because she's the Stranger Things kid.
But no one cares about the humans. It's just about the fights.
It's just about the fights. It's all in service of just the fights, which are about a minute long, and they're not that great, honestly. I'm just saying.
There's a lot of fights in it, so I'll give it some credit.
I don't know. For me, they've kind of it was like a blink and you miss it. It was mostly just boring character development. Godzilla vs. Kong?
I mean, they were terribly boring, and I agree with you in that sense. Like the fights sucked, and they were stupid, and I wasn't invested at all. But they made up a good chunk of the movie.
I might be exaggerating.
They made up more of the movie than fucking Mortal Kombat, which we'll talk about either later today or next.
Mortal Kombat's much shorter, and Mortal Kombat's funnier.
I don't know. What's the runtime on both of these? Let's see. Can you type for me? I've got wrist brace on. Can you look this up? I'm trying to heal.
Yeah. So Godzilla vs. Kong is 1 hour 53, and Mortal Kombat's 1 hour 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're about the same.
Really? They're the same? For me, Godzilla vs. Kong felt like it was 3 hours long, and Mortal Kombat flew by. So I guess that says something about the dumb fun of Mortal Kombat.
Did you smoke weed before Mortal Kombat?
No. No, I swear.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, they were both stupid. I felt like Mortal Kombat had much more, like, filler, though.
Okay, but at least you're watching real people fight in that film. This is 2 CGI things that I guess they're trying to develop.
I mean, in Mortal Kombat, there was a lot of CG nonsense, too. They fought the lizard. It was so
but
stupid.
the humans are fighting. It's 2 people. Like in this, it's literally just like watching a video game. You got King Kong, Godzilla fighting all in a totally CGI
it is
environment.
like watching a video
then
game.
they try to develop these CGI monsters by giving them some like King Kong has a little deaf girl.
Oh yeah, that was so funny.
Like, brought up. Because, you know, in the old Godzilla, he has, like, a hot woman that he carries around, like, in rags. Then they can't do that in a modern-day movie because that's misogynist. So they give him, like, a deaf person, like, to care about. And, like, King Kong's, like, a sensitive person.
She taught him sign language.
A sensitive gorilla.
And nobody else noticed until the perfect dramatic moment where it was revealed.
They were also going for Rampage, the movie with Dwayne Johnson, where he does sign language with that gorilla, and then that gorilla grows 50 times. And
I don't know if I would trace it back to Rampage to find the origins of teaching sign language to a gorilla in films, but I think it's a pretty tropey thing, honestly.
I think Rampage is the first movie to do that.
But going back to the action, I mean, to me that was the biggest shock because it's the only thing I was really expecting and hoping for was some good, memorable, creative action. And the only thing I really remember is they like fight underwater and there's a robot. Really forgettable stuff because the aesthetic, there's nothing really to break it up. It's like a visual blur of blue and orange, the whole thing.
There's some purple in there.
Sorry, yeah, a bit of purple, a bit of pink.
Yeah. It's not taking risks.
But there's nothing for me to connect to. I was sat there just wondering, like, okay, when am I going to care about any of this? Like, I guess you already have to be invested in the imagery of Godzilla punching King Kong.
You have to have a boner for kaijus. That's a prerequisite. Apparently, a lot of
people do.
But I
do have a boner for kaijus. That's the thing.
I do. I just like it when there's a bit more going on, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there needs to be more going on. There needs to be... I don't know. For me, the fights flew by. Maybe I just prefer the guys in the suits. That's just my preference. Or maybe a blend of both, because Shin Godzilla was a guy in a suit, but they put CGI on top of it. And actually kind of nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked unique. It looked cool. I like the CG in that movie.
There's just something about the effects in this. It reminded me of the Pacific Rim sequel, the bad one.
Yes.
Because it's not... Like, there's something about the first Pacific Rim, those robots had weight to them.
Yeah, weight
and
was
the
a
fights felt really
very
real.
Yeah.
The scale, right. And even the first Godzilla, Gareth Edwards one, like the way they build up Godzilla to be this fucking behemoth, it actually works. And in this, the way the camera would move, like, a camera can't move 100 miles in a second, like the way this movie does. But within the scale, trying to capture these fights... they have to do that, and it just doesn't look good. It looks fake to your eye.
It looks like a cartoon.
Yeah,
it looks like a cartoon, and maybe that's what they were going for. But I also just think Adam Wingard's a bit of an idiot, and he doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to this
right.
Just coming to this, multi-million-dollar. I mean, even we've dissected his like $2 million movies, and they're not. Yeah. They're a bit flawed. This one, I don't know. I don't think he could direct scenes like that. It's no Lord of the Rings in that regard.
I feel like he's where he belongs, though.
Making schlock.
As long as he stays out of like properties that I like Death Note, if he wants to keep making dumb kaiju shit, whatever, I'm happy. Because he's getting work no matter what. So I'd rather have him do Godzilla movies than Death Note.
Yeah, I'm glad people are enjoying it. I just don't know what it is that I'm missing, you know? I was hoping you guys, like I saw your rating, Ralph, I was hoping you'd be able to explain.
Well, I'd seen all these too, and I don't know, it doesn't stand out
10?
particularly. Yeah, it's the best film of the year.
Okay.
I think it gets nominated next year for the Oscars. I don't think it's like particularly worse than any of the other ones. It's very, it's just bad. It's stupid shit, if you like that kind of thing.
Bland.
Is it any worse than King of the Monsters? I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't see it, so.
Definitely Gareth Edwards' movie is solid. The Godzilla one.
Yeah. I guess it just bothers me the way it just jumps around if it's supposed to be this joined universe and there is just absolutely no cohesion at all.
It's very cynical, the commercialness of like we got to connect it all to the different movies, and I understand that. It's just not the worst film I've ever seen. It's no Gotti,
Yeah, it's not that good.
Yeah,
yeah, nothing is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I understand that a lot of people apparently got what they wanted out of it. They just must have really loved the fight scenes, but I didn't care about the fight scenes, and they weren't like impressive. I didn't find myself going like, "Whoa!" at any moment. Right? I would have loved to.
I didn't care about Godzilla.
That would have been
King
ideal,
Kong or any of the humans.
Yeah, I don't.
That's a huge problem.
Why are they fighting? Does that matter? Am I wrong for asking that question? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Because, like, for example, in Kong Skull Island, the whole movie is paced in a way to kind of build up the island, the intrigue, the monsters of the island, and it all kind of concludes with this fight with this like skull creature, and that is satisfying because you haven't really seen anything like that in the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
But here, it's just like one emotion for the whole thing.
Yeah,
one style of intensity for the whole thing.
Yay, they defeated Mecha Godzilla, a villain that showed up 15 minutes ago.
Like,
what?
It's a big, dumb movie that references a bunch of blockbusters, like Batman vs. Superman is one of them, because, of course, King Kong loses. I guess I'm spoiling it. Spoilers, King Kong loses and dies, but they bring him back to life because they both need to team up to fight Mecha Godzilla, like in Batman vs. Superman.
That happened? I was like,
well, Batman wins. And then they're like, well, Apocalypse is coming or some kind of giant monster's coming, so you guys need to team up to fight this thing.
Yeah, I was so disappointed by that.
It's so predictable that is what's going to happen. And the fight is so, okay, it was fine, but Mechagodzilla kind of looks stupid. I prefer the old one.
This is supposed to be the same Godzilla from the 2014 movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why is it so fucking anthropomorphized? Like, why is Godzilla smiling when he, like, punches King Kong hard enough? You, like, see these close-up shots of him, he's like, hey, bring it on, bitch. Like, that's not the... 80s I don't cartoon. Remember that from the 2014 God. This is the same character, right? Like, it makes sense on Kong, because he's, like, a humanoid animal, like a primate or whatever, right? It makes sense. Gorillas smile, right? That's how they emote sometimes. Fucking Godzilla? What? Why are you like... Why do we have these close zoom shots of like your facial expressions here? It was so weird.
Yeah, they do treat the kaijus a bit differently. Because what was the previous one? Gods and Monsters, did you say? I can't remember what the titles are. But
King of the Monsters, right?
King of the Monsters. Yeah, but I remember them treating them a little bit differently. They weren't like big cartoons. They were kind of big monsters that were intimidating and actually felt like the size they were, and that they were a huge challenge to take down. But I guess that's because they didn't have the giant lizard and giant monkey that had to fight. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, there was
giant monkey.
There's a lot of stupid shit in it. It wasn't good.
No, sadly it wasn't.
I thought I was gonna love the new Adam
Those
Wingard
fights
film.
even. I mean, you could just watch the fights on YouTube. People will re-upload them on YouTube and watch them there.
Yeah, I noticed one of them just floating around on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. That's all it's for. It's for the monster fights, which is what the old ones are for. But that was a different time where you couldn't just clip 2 minutes of a movie. You had to go to a theater and watch the whole thing, and they had to develop characters. Now you could just, find it somewhere.
The charm is different. There isn't charm to like the 2021 CG mindfuck compared to the guys in like costumes like rolling around on a set.
They should have uploaded the whole movie to just Snapchat.
Yeah. Just upload the monster fights.
Yeah, it's TikToks.
Bark.
Sorry, he's barking. Yeah, shut up, bro.
I agree, that's my rating.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
Here's people outside.
What would we give it out of 10?
I mean, when I sat down to watch this movie, I got my like notes ready. I was ready for this, and within about 5 minutes, I just put my notepad away. I was like, I think I know what we're dealing with here, and yeah, I was just uninterested from beginning to end. I know it's like a gut emotional reaction to rate it what I did on Letterboxd, but
gave up.
I gave up. I never want to see this again. I forgot about it. Not even 5 minutes after it ended. I'm never going to think about this again. If I was being like properly fair, it would probably be 1 or 2 star, but I'm sticking to my half star. Fuck this film.
Yeah, totally. 2 star is my rating. It was 2.5, but yeah, Mortal Kombat kind of made me realize that this isn't dumb fun. This is kind of just dull, and I wanted just human characters to care about, and there's none of that.
Awesome. Yeah. I think we might have slightly opposite opinions on this in Mortal Kombat. So yeah, well, let's talk about that. I'm giving Godzilla vs. Kong 3 out of 10. Adam Wingard found his calling. He's exactly where he needs to be, away from properties that I like. So before we move on to Mortal Kombat really quickly, I forgot about one tiny thing about the Godzilla thing. So were they... When they were going to get Kong and it was like a half upside down world, was that like the center of the Earth?
Yeah, Hollow Earth theory.
Where the fuck was the light coming from? Because there was like sunlight everywhere. That's why I was like, is this
80s,
the
probably?
center of the Earth? Like, I don't know what was happening. It was like they would show like the lens flare from the sun, but not the sun itself. Like if you just move the camera slightly over. But it was like, well, because there is no sun because it's the hollow Earth. Right? So that's why I was really confused. Yeah. It was funny how they tried to do a shitty little 2001 A Space Odyssey thing on their way there. That was cringe. That was bad.
Yeah, another reference.
Yeah.
Well, Godzilla has a reference to that too.
Ralph and I saw Mortal
Kombat. You gotta yell it.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Yeah, I loved the movie. I thought it was awesome. I give it 5 star, yeah. Maybe not 5 star, but it is a very guilty pleasure. Like it might be one of the stupidest films I've ever seen in my life, but it's very funny. And like, if you're even going into it knowing what Mortal Kombat is, like it totally, I think like for a fan, it would suit their purposes, right? Like it's got fights, it's bloody, it's got all the lines from the show, or it's got all the lines from the game. I'm sorry, fatality, finish him.
Get over here!
Dumb, campy shit.
Get over here, brother!
The action's great. I thought the action was fucking great. I saw this in a theater, by the way, and the sound was great. Really great effects. The effects on Sub-Zero freezing people and whatever. It was fun. Yeah, I don't know. For a video game movie especially, it's really exciting. Especially compared to... I'd seen recently the Hitman movie. Not the Timothy Olyphant one. The Hitman Agent 47.
Oh, yeah.
Which was fucking boring. And again, Hitman's about stealth. In that movie, he's like in the middle of Times Square fucking shooting 1,000 people. It doesn't make any sense. And then there's Assassin's Creed with Michael Fassbender. And that was boring as shit. Clearly made by people who have no like passion for that game. And like, well, I don't know who does for Assassin's Creed because it's fucking boring. And then... Now you have Mortal Kombat, and it's they got Asian people to be in it, unlike that 80s one where it's a bunch of white people. Like Raiden's a white guy, and like here it's like actually Asian people, and they speak Japanese and Chinese. It's funny. It's I like that one too. I would love to see that one. You have to buy it, and that one's a PG-13 because it's made for teenagers ultimately, and they weren't gonna put out a rated R movie because then no one would see it back then. Now it's different. Everyone loves violence in a movie as long as it's fun. And yeah, the theater had a bunch of people in it. Like there was like a little girl in the theater. Like tons of people of all ages, old man,
isn't it violent?
Kids. It's violent, but it's funny as fuck. Like it's funny violence. Like a guy. I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's really funny.
Violence is an American pastime, Alex. You wouldn't understand.
Oh right.
Well, as long as it's fun.
Same issue that I had with King Kong. This film is hyping itself up to be, Dinkle versus Kong. This film is hyping itself up to be this like, we're not like the other video game movies. We're R-rated, and then I watch it and it's like, damn, you really like you fucking cowards couldn't even show the death of like the woman and child at the beginning. You fucking cut away. Right off screen, and then it's like, oh, they're dead again.
Why did you need to see that? Yeah. You're gonna take off points for that.
No, they're fucking cowards. Violent. It goes against their marketing.
They're not cowards. This movie is so violent.
They're not even. Okay, I'm spoiling the movie. Sorry, Alex.
First of all, they show them frozen to death. Like you see a kid
we never see their death.
We
never see their death, and then they do the exact same thing with the main the main character's wife and child at the end of the movie, and it's like, oh, I turn my back and they're frozen now. And then in this instance, it's like, oh, they're actually just fine. They just needed to be thawed up a little. It's like, oh, fuck off. You cowards.
Yeah.
It's really stupid. And I just I couldn't even get
then
into...
Scorpion had his fire powers.
That was stupid. That was fucking horrendous.
Okay, the whole movie's stupid. Like, it's different from all the video game movies in that it totally understands what it is and it embraces the stupid campiness. It's a lot. I mean, of fun,
so did Space Cop.
I didn't feel the length of it.
So
at
did
all.
Space Cop, Ralph.
Space Cop is dog shit. Space Cop is so lazy. Like, there's shots in that movie that aren't even exposed correctly. The frame rate isn't correct. Like, it's so cheap. This is really polished. Like, I love the visual effects in here. I think the action scenes are great.
I wouldn't call it polished. Good. I wouldn't call it polished. Go back to.
I think it's awesome.
There was a moment at the end of the fight scene where they get unthawed, like near the end of the film. Look at the overhead shot and look at where their feet are. It's really, really funny. You can see the indentations as they're walking of this like obvious like rug or mat that they're using instead of like snow or ice. It was not good looking. There was a lot of it that just like, sure, there are some good effects here and there. Like I don't know if I would say that they're monumentally better than Dingle versus Kong or anything. I would say that they're probably about the same. And I mean, I watched both of them in the same setting. I watched both of them on the same projector. I don't know if you watched one in the theater and one not. So
I watched in just a theater. I don't know.
I was wondering if you watched both this and the Dingle versus Kong in theaters.
Oh, Dingle versus Kong, I saw on my TV. I'm sorry. Yeah, I had an opportunity to see in a theater. I just wasn't interested in that movie. This, I was like, okay, I've seen these games. I don't know. To me, this is it embraces what it is, and I think it's a lot of fun. My biggest issue with it is the second act. Mainly is when they're not fighting and they're just kind of like talking in Earthrealm.
There's a lot
of the fuck
of
they're
that.
supposed to be.
there's not a lot of that.
Yeah, how's the exposition?
It's so
the middle of
long.
the movie. It's bad.
They dick around
bad,
so much, and the story sucks.
And the characters are ridiculous because you have Jax, who is this guy with like metal arms. Sonya Blade.
There's like a birthmark. They got to earn their like cutie marks or whatever.
They have to earn their
cutie marks.
Little tattoos.
Yeah.
The K marks. That's the logo of the Mortal Kombat. Yeah, they have to earn that. It's somehow given to you at birth for some people, but other people, they have to earn it.
Yeah,
like Sonya defeats someone, and then she gets one. Like, it just appears on her arm.
Raiden could just teleport any character anywhere, so that kind of breaks everything.
And he can also teleport everyone to the Void, which is this place where no one can get to you. So I'm like, why aren't you in the Void like all the time? If they're, because
there's
a huge part is they're trying to get
to
the tournament, but they can't get to the tournament because Shao Kahn keeps sending fighters to come kill them, so they can't even get there. But like then Raiden just teleports them all to a void that keeps them safe. It's like, okay, so why didn't you just put them all there before? There are a lot of plot holes. You're not supposed to think.
It's stupid, and nothing matters because the deaths at the beginning didn't really happen because he just comes back.
Well, no death matters in this universe.
Exactly, nothing.
Back.
The entire movie doesn't matter. All the characters that die in the entire movie are just like, at the end, you see the big main bad guy. He's like, well, I'll bring them back even more powerful. And we get a shot of each of them like turning into smoke. It's like, oh, they're going to get transported to hell and come back or some shit. It's like, no one's ever really gone. Like, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. What was the whole movie then? What was the whole movie?
Yeah. Well, the stakes are the tournament. The tournament was they had 9 wins, the Shao Kahn team. And if they got one more win, they were going to take over Earthrealm and destroy it. So these guys had to come in and defend Earthrealm. So that was the point. They had to, if they didn't defend Earthrealm in this movie, Earth would have been destroyed. So that is like, the movie had stakes. It's just, once people are killed, they just come back anyway in the next movie. Because next movie you'll see Goro
put in
again.
another coin.
But who cares? The characters are so stupid in this movie. Like Kano is fucking ridiculous. He shoots a laser out of his eye for no reason.
Oh yeah, it's stupid.
Like it's because he just gets really angry in one scene and he just shoots a laser out of his eye.
I found my thing. It's a laser.
In the video games, I thought it made a bit more sense because he's like a robot kind of cyborg in that. So he shoots a laser out of his eye because he's got a metal face. Mm-hmm. And same with Jax. Like he's got weak metal arms, but then
why did
he
they give him shit arms at the beginning?
Like mega arms. Yeah, but he like just evolves in one scene for no reason. He just transforms into Super Jax, and it's like, how the fuck did that happen?
Then he I don't know, through the power of love or something, he sheds a single tear, and then his arms grow 3 times that day. Like, what? I don't know what the fuck they're
I'm sorry if
for.
I'm spoiling like major plot things for you, Alex, but these things aren't like the parts that you're going to remember. What you're going to remember are the action scenes and the fatalities, and I think all that stuff is really good. That's worth seeing.
I was going to say, how
for.
do you even spoil this? Like, really?
You can't,
because the plot's dumb. It's Sonya Blade, like just the characters' names. She was great. Like that character was ridiculous, and the actor fucking sucked. But I don't know, it was funny as hell just watching that.
What is the balance of that fun to boredom though? Because that is what these kind of movies ride or die on.
There's a lot of not fighting in this movie. Like that, I'm willing to bet money that the ratio of fight scenes to not fight scenes is worse in Mortal Kombat than Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah. It felt like they cut a few corners in that regard, because they're setting this up also for sequels. Clearly, like that's what they're going for. And since this was a huge success, they're going to make sequels, of course. The next movie will be much more eventful. They'll have more fighters. They'll have a ton of CGI. Huge success? It was a pretty big success, especially for like the quarantine stuff. It made a lot of money, which is good. I mean,
when did it even come out?
How long? It's just one weekend, right? Yeah. It came out Friday.
Shit. Okay.
So it's doing good. So they'll definitely make sequels if that's what they want to do. I think it's doing well. Mm-hmm. Maybe in the sequel they should, definitely make the set pieces more spectacular. Because this felt like kind of Dragon Ball Evolution at times, where it was cheap. It felt scaled back. The main character of the film isn't anyone you'd actually know. It isn't Sub-Zero Scorpion. It's just some guy, and he's like living with his family in some small town. The fight with Goro is just him like near his house. Yeah, like it's not anywhere. It's not Earth Realm. It's not like, I don't know, those Shadow Realm or whatever the fuck. I don't know Mortal Kombat that well, but it should have been something cooler than that. In that way, the movie feels kind of scaled back. And there's a lot of scenes, where there's just exposition, padding out with dumb jokes. But I still thought it was fun. I don't know.
Here's my issue is that, like, I would have loved to have had an experience where I thought that, like, the whole film was, like, self-aware, it knows what it is. And it's like, you can argue that for parts of it, I guess. But, like, there's so much, not just, like, boring exposition, but, like, unironic, like, pretending to be cool music and pretending to be super serious and sad music and scenes that accompany it, where it's like, oh my, like it's the tone of this film, and especially the music and so many scenes are just like screaming to be taken seriously, which I find just completely contradictory to what the film is telling us in the marketing that it's trying to be, and telling us in some of the scenes.
It's pretty clear.
Like, it's so inconsistent.
They're trying to make you care about these characters,
which is stupid.
Especially
that's
this
a
main
stupid
one, by
idea
giving him a wife
movie.
and but they have to do that somewhat because it's a movie. Otherwise, there's absolutely no reason to even watch it. So I at least appreciate the intent.
I don't necessarily
they give
agree
Liu
with
Kang
that.
And so who's the guy with the metal hat? Like they give them some kind of, they're like family members or something. They're related in some way. So they have like some kind of a relationship, and that gave them, I don't know, it made it more interesting. I didn't feel like those scenes took away from the movie.
Yeah, I'm just I never play button mashing games unless it's like fucking, I don't know, Smash Brothers or something.
I suck at Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
but I play it with like people who really love it. It's fun, and the fatalities are great. That's the trademark.
You can watch
That's what
those
makes
on
it
YouTube.
So much. Like I can't stand fucking Street Fighter and all that other shit because it's so, I don't know, so boring. I like the fatalities. I like watching people get sliced in half or whatever.
Yeah,
it's more satisfying to do them in person, by the way, too. I don't like watching them on YouTube.
Oh, I don't even. It makes no difference to me, honestly. So
it's a very satisfying way to end a fight.
I recognized a couple things that are so obviously pop culture that you can't have lived on this planet without hearing them. It was like, get over here. It's like, oh, he said the thing. And then when the Mortal Kombat music comes on, it's like bam, 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 for like a little bit.
Yeah, the Mortal Kombat theme.
Modern rendition of it was kind of funny. But yeah, I'm not enough of a fan of the games to be excited and clap when I see the thing, you know? Like when they say it, and it's like
it's just a bunch of references.
Yeah.
They reference there's some characters in here that you'd probably know, like Kano, Sonya Blade, but then there's like obscure ones. There's this woman with flying, like she flies or whatever, she has wings. That's like a PS2 era, PS1 era Mortal Kombat character. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. They threw that in there. And they have is it Cabal, I think? The guy with the he has like these giant blades and he curses a lot. That character was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I thought this movie was a fucking blast. If you're a fan of
very
Mortal Kombat.
happy for you. I wish I could have felt that way.
As David Ayer would say, it's a movie made for the fans.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rate it anything highly, but I don't know. I didn't think it was
9.
boring. Yeah. I would take 1 point off.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would say 3 stars for this.
Okay.
I'd like to talk about it again with Alex.
Yeah,
See if
Alex, if you want to watch
I'm still
it.
interested
But speaking from other fans of Mortal Kombat, they thought it was fun. I don't think it's a great movie. They need to make a sequel and definitely make it like they need to give it $200 million and make it like Avengers Endgame, like really fucking crazy. Like then I would give it like a high rating.
Yeah.
It needs to be like Mad Max Fury Road or something like that. But this is like a good start, I think. I thought this was a lot of fun for what it was. Not high art. Won't be getting any Oscars though.
Get used to it, man. I mean, this is the start of the onslaught of game movies. I heard they're doing a Ghost of Tsushima movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's this Uncharted movie that's coming out. There's that
the
HBO
Ryan Reynolds one,
Last of
Free
Us
Guy.
show.
That's not based on anything. But that's like a video game movie.
That's more of a Reddit movie than a game movie.
Yeah,
that's a Reddit movie.
Yeah.
It is in a video game. It's like isn't it like Groundhog Day? Yeah, it's like that.
Groundhog Day for gamers.
And I'm giving Mortal Kombat a 2 out of 10, and I would love to hear what you think about it, Alex, if you want to watch it before next time.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Lots of exposition.
There is lots of dumb shit.
Film recommendation, the big one this time, I picked Chinatown by noted uncontroversial good guy Roman Polanski, starring Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway. It's a 1970s film, 1974, I think, but it's set in the 30s, and so it's something that kind of creates a kind of like a noirish film without going completely noirish and using a lot of 70s kind of writing, something that wouldn't have been exactly as available if you made this film earlier, or I guess like socially available for what you could do with the story. It's like an investigation, private detective Jack Nicholson. He's trying to figure out the water and power chief engineer's secret love life. He thinks he's being hired by the wife, and then he finds out it was not the wife, and then he unravels a lot of crazy things, and this is a spoiler discussion. What did you two think of it? I really enjoyed it.
Great detective story. Yeah, really good stuff.
I'd never seen the film. It is very good. Yes. It's regarded as one of the best films of all time. So I'm glad I finally got to see it. Jack Nicholson in this movie, first of all, is incredible. It's like one of the best. He's an incredible actor, given many of my favorite performances. But in this movie, he's just amazing. And I really believed his character. And I don't know, it's like a different era for him. This is basically like when he was on fire.
Yeah.
Cuckoo's Nest was around this time. And of course, The Shining. Mega talented guy. You see his he's got a charisma that shines through in it. I don't know how to even describe it.
Yeah.
I love his I love when he gets his nose fucked up too and he has to wear a bandage because it just gives him such a unique look.
Yeah, and they do it for so much
violence.
of the film too.
Yeah, there's a visual representation of how much he's getting beaten down by all of this shit that he just kind of stumbles onto.
And he persists through whether or not that's a good idea.
Yeah, he's shown to have a lot of attitude, doesn't he? He doesn't whenever he's challenged, he goes at 110% back, like in the barber scene where he really feels the need to justify his job. He feels a bit insecure about it.
Great character.
There's just loads of cool details like that with his character, and he's ingenious too in his approach to his kind of detective work. I loved the way he put a watch behind the car tire, so he knew that when the watch face was destroyed, that was the time the car left, and just the kind of detective work that had to be done back in the 30s, the things you don't even think about nowadays, where just detective stories are not the same in contemporary times because of the technology and just all the stuff he had to do to solve the mystery and
it was
where
really
it
creative.
goes, especially. Yeah, super creative. Is this based on a book or is this an original?
No, this is an original screenplay. The writer was...
Really? That's even more impressive.
The writer was offered a crap ton of money, especially for the 70s. It was like like, I don't know, like $100,000, $150,000 to like write an adaptation of The Great Gatsby. And he was like, I don't want to do that. He decided that he didn't want to be known as this unknown screenwriter who just ruined a literary classic. He didn't think that he could like do it justice. And so he's like, you know what? I'd rather just work on an original story that I'd like to tell. So he took a lot less money from a producer. It was like 15,000 or something. It was like a tenth of what he would have made doing The Great Gatsby. And he just wrote something that I'm trying to remember the personal nature that there was to it, but he was very familiar with like LA and just how, you know, the city transformed into something that he wound up not liking as he grew older, and tried to like capture that, I guess, feeling in his screenplay. And then Roman Polanski wound up altering a good amount of it, but not entirely. They were mostly collaborative, except for 2 scenes, one of which I really like Roman Polanski's edition, and one of it which I really do not, that being the ending and the sex scene. So the ending, Roman Polanski was very insistent to have Faye Dunaway's character die, and that, I think, turned out to be a great ending. The sex scene itself, the fact that he needed to be in like a romantic sexual relationship with this other character, Roman Polanski was very insistent about that. I don't know if that is necessary for the movie. Perhaps people in the 70s really needed to see that in a movie. I didn't think that added anything to it, and was kind of stupid.
I agree.
The whole get the girl trope, you know.
Would you say she's a bit of a femme fatale?
You could classify her as that in ways.
Yeah, I think I would. And that's why that was fine for me, because, you know, femme fatale, it's part of the character. I don't know.
I don't know, but
sexual
I mean,
element.
like,
it's in
I think
LA
she has a lot more
Confidential
depth than that, though, as a character.
Yeah, of course she does.
And like what we learn about her,
definitely.
you know, she's clearly motivated, and not necessarily through like evil motivations or anything.
Yeah. Well, every character is just, I mean, Jack Nicholson's the hardball detective, but he's obviously much more developed than that. Just that stereotype.
At the heart of the story is this kind of story of corruption, which is all based around this water business, which fans of Rango will recognize that film.
Oh, yeah.
A hell of a lot of inspiration.
Very similar to Rango.
From Chinatown. But you could very clearly see the line where they stop taking inspiration, because the places that Chinatown goes are extremely dark towards the end, and it really hammers home the kind of, you know, when the abuse of power is around a resource like water, you know, that everyone needs, that everyone is pining for. It's such a base level resource. There's something extra heinous about the abuse of power just to build up strength using a resource such as water. I think that's a really good choice, just in terms of like the base story. I love the whole villain character, and because his design is stolen in Rango too, with the turtle guy with the suspenders and the hat.
There's a lot of Rango similarities.
Fuck, we should rewatch Rango.
Even
now.
like the hillbilly group he comes across. Well, there's the scene Jack Nicholson goes in the field, you know, and he's driving his car around. It's kind of a little car chase. That was very similar to the scene in Rango where he comes across the hillbillies.
Shit, you guys have Rango so much more clear in your memories than I do. I haven't seen it since its release.
Yeah, I just happened to watch it about a year ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the water stuff. Yeah, it's so similar. It's more of a Western though. I definitely see where they took inspiration.
Yeah. Still made their own thing out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
There's just so much that's great about the writing and directing combined, in terms of like how to start and stop a scene, how to communicate information so that it's not, you know, stupid and obvious. I believe one of the changes Roman Polanski made to the script was there used to be like voiceover narration, and he wound up changing it so that as we see the film now, we are discovering information in pretty much the same way that Jack Nicholson's character is. So the audience has as much information as the main character. That supposedly wasn't in the original script, and it was presented a bit differently. And even ignoring like the mystery elements to it, I think that there's a lot of great information communicated, not just about the plot, but about the characters, in very, very tight, very neat ways, which is something that Polanski is really good at doing.
Yeah.
So like even just considering like the opening scene, like I didn't know what the fuck was going on at the very beginning. It's like, oh, there's a man crying. He's like hit the blinds, right? I think that's the guy that shows up later that he gets a ride from.
Yeah. So that was a good reincorporation.
Oh yeah, that was great reincorporation. And then like immediately in the next scene, it's like there's a woman. She's like, "I want you to figure out what my husband's doing." It's like, oh, it clicks. It's there. You didn't need to over-explain it in the first scene. They're the element of like what is going on with the he shows some naked pictures, blah blah blah. It's subtle. It's not like completely incomprehensible, but like it's so clear very quickly in the next scene already. It's like, oh, 100% of the information is there. It's just it's a really neat and nice way of communicating information. I love it when it's not just it doesn't feel stupid,
Yeah, I mean, it honestly almost shocks me that it wasn't based on a book, because I thought the writing was such top tier. I almost just wrote it off like, yeah, of course it's this good. This must be based on some classic novel or something. Because I found the dialogue to be amazing all round. The forget it's Jake line, going back to just the way that they're so efficient with the way they build up the main character, where in those early scenes where he's talking about where he doesn't want the last dime, and he's kind of a good guy, but kind of not at the same time. He's got his own motivations. He's a complicated character, but just he's such a fun way to go through this mystery with, because he's so motivated and he won't stop at anything. And yeah, it's just a great adventure from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's classic. It's one of the best noirs ever.
Something that I found a lot of enjoyment from this film was a lot of the and I guess a lot of this boils down to just like the character of that Jack Nicholson is playing and how he delivers it, but also just the way it's written in terms of like there's so many funny insults and so much profanity, and then I love how like later in the film you can piece together that, I don't know, also possibly because this is the 30s and just more because of his character, that he kind of like has to have a filter in certain situations. Like he was about to say my ass or something. He was like, oh yeah, wait, I have it written down. Well, frankly, Mrs. Mulray, you saved my neck. You saved my neck. He changed it. So he has to like consciously remind himself to put that filter on because he's like just so much more profane than every other character in the movie. And it's like that moment where it contextualizes just like how different he is from those around him. I really liked that. And obviously, the character dynamic where he's like trying to be nice to her and be polite, and just, he's, I guess, trying to get in her pants too, but
Yeah, there's that comedic beat early in the movie where he's telling that rude joke and he doesn't realize the woman's right behind him. That kind of establishes his mind quite well.
Oh yeah. I love the guy next to the elevator and he's just like, he's just completely insulting him. They shut off the water. How'd you know? You didn't drink it. You don't take a bath in it. They must have sent you a letter. But then you'd have to be able to read. And just like, he just starts like slowly walking towards him, like expressionless, like, holy fuck. I loved that moment. That was so funny.
Yeah, it's a perfect blend of comedy. And then basically every scene in this movie serves a purpose. There's no fluff.
True.
The pacing is perfect.
Great flow.
The amount of information doled out mixed in with that levity. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. Every scene moves the story forward. Except the sex scene, kind of.
Well, I don't know. It needs to be in there for the noirness. It wouldn't be a noir without it.
Yeah, but I mean, like this, you can break conventions.
I'm just making an argument for that back then.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, if there's anything to critique, but this is like classic noir. It's fucking perfect. It's so it's exciting. It's the dialogue's great. The actors. It's made in that time period where there was nothing else like this, really. Like, you can't even make a film this good again, I don't think, in this way. Like you were saying, just the way it blends in that period and the technology. It's so original and exciting.
Yeah, I mean, like, for the time, and I might be mistaken, but this is what I heard, is that it was kind of unconventional to do a noir where it wasn't just, like, some sort of, like, murder mystery, where it was, like, it was more of a corruption and water supply thing. It's, like, that's kind of, like, a new... spin on
the corruption of the city.
Yeah.
And that eventually led to like LA Confidential, which is the same kind of thing. It's about corruption in Los Angeles, and that's a much higher scale, I think. But that movie's awesome. I love that movie. And it's building off this. Yeah, you're right. It's much more interesting than just like someone got murdered. It starts with like, my husband's cheating on someone. Can you go stake him out? And then it kind of, like you said, it falls apart, and you find out he uncovers this whole spider web of conspiracy.
Yeah, there's a lot of everything that gets revealed as the story continues is just so interesting and engaging. It's like,
the pond, I love that.
Yeah, you can't like shut off the movie at any point, even if you didn't like something about it. It's like you kind of have to figure out where it's going, right? Like,
at least leave it on.
Yeah,
movie looks great too. There's exciting set pieces in it.
Yeah, the action I was not expecting to be in there as much, and
yeah,
like the scene where he's investigating the water and he gets swept away and pushed up against the fence.
I love that moment.
Loved that.
Yeah.
The car chase.
I mean, the water just comes out of nowhere, like the way the camera pans over.
Yeah.
And the way he climbs up the fence, that shot's great.
Yeah, the like orange field with the car.
Yeah, the farmers.
I love that.
I was gonna mention.
It's nonstop. Like right after that, he gets his nose fucking ripped off. Yeah, the farmer chase is fucking great. Yeah, that reminded me of Rango a lot. Those characters.
There were points in that chase scene that reminded me of like No Country for Old Men. Like it was like weirdly exhilarating and dark at the same time. Where I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
like,
really well blocked out.
You're gonna die.
Reminded me of Stalker too. Because there's a car chase in that where they keep, it's kind of slow paced. They're going reverse down alleyways. It's like this. And again, it was very locked in his perspective too. You were in the car the whole time. And the whole movie's kind of locked in his perspective. You're only figuring out information along with him. You know what he knows. He's basically in every scene of the movie, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a single scene without him.
The entire time.
And that's, that's great. I think that engages me much more.
Oh yeah, I don't want to know what he doesn't know.
I'm with the character.
Yeah, lots of clever usage of mirrors and reflections. There was that great shot, the car mirror, like perfectly centralized in the shot, which I thought was great.
Yeah,
the scene where he. Oh man, I guess this is leading into another point I'm trying to make. Is that so many great movies that I see, like the best of the best. And I think that part of what helps me define them as such is when there are characters that are not even essential to the story. They are side characters that you'll see for a scene and never see them again, but they have so much character, So like, I'm going to relate this to like Coen Brothers movies again, because they do this a lot, where it's like the guy in the scene in this film where he was getting like the ruler from the desk. Like, not just his visual style, you can read a lot about the character from that, but the way he behaved and the way that he was kind of blocked to behave. So not just even the acting, but like the specific directing moments. Like he didn't just pull out the desk and grab the ruler. He pulled out the desk, fished around for a bit, and then like kind of like in his body language, you could see him like, oh, I guess I got to open it all the way, pulls it out even more, and then grabs the ruler sort of thing. It's like, man, there's just so much character to soak in from all of these minor characters that like so many writers, so many directors would not pay as much attention to, and they wouldn't fully, like, you don't need to flesh them out to the point where like I need to know their life story and motivations, right? But they're interesting to watch on screen, even though we don't have anything more than just a minute with them, right? That's what makes a lot of the greatest movies stand out for me. Is like I've noticed that that's a really common trend in them.
Yeah, characters are very distinct and memorable because you have to remember a lot of them because it's a noir. It's a lot of mystery. Who's doing what? Who's behind it?
Yeah, exactly. I guess it would kind of spoil it if there was only one interesting side character and the rest were boring, right? Because then you'd be like, it's that guy. He's like he's sticking out to me. He's the only interesting looking one.
And the way the story converges at Chinatown too, I kept thinking in my head, how's this going to come together at the end? And the way it does is so satisfying because they establish early on in the movie that the main character used to be a cop and he has connections with Chinatown. So when the kind of conclusion happens there and the shootout and the spine-chilling scene where the granddad is like grabbing at the daughter, grandchild, whatever combo it is. Great ending, great conclusion. The dramatic payoff of it all coming together there is so excellently built up to and achieved.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Really dark ending, but
Very dark.
This is awesome. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of should be. I like that. Again, to stay in line with just like how information is presented, it's like we go back to the guy at the beginning. You know, we're at his house, Curly or whatever he is, and his wife answers the door, and she's got a black eye, and he's like so kind of like jolly. He's like, "Hey, that's the guy that," and she's like, "I know." And they continue. It's like, holy crap, man! I love that little moment. It says so much. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, another thing about this kind of connected me with Rosemary's Baby is it's like the drink she ordered is like a little distinct. I've never heard of someone ordering a Tom Collins with lime instead of lemon. I was like, you can do that? And now I just want to try it, which is funny.
Yeah, now you can do it.
Yeah, that's so specific.
When I was watching Rosemary's Baby, they were like, oh, vodka blush. I'm like, I need to know how to make a vodka blush. I don't know. There's lots of character in the film.
Yeah, this is like Rosemary's Baby, that kind of level of quality classic.
I would say I like Rosemary's Baby more overall.
I do too.
It's up there.
Slightly. Yeah, these are both great.
Very different tones.
Yeah.
And similar at the same time.
It's classic. Jack Nicholson's excellent.
Because they both kind of like unravel mysteries, and they're both kind of dark. But this one just has a lot more comedy to it.
They both have good cocktails in it.
Yeah.
Do you think Rosemary's Baby is your favorite from him then? You think it's better than The Pianist?
It might be, but I haven't rewatched The Pianist still in a long time. And I think I have both of those rated as a 10. So I think. I would have to watch The Pianist again.
Yeah. I would probably rate this a 10. Yeah, Chinatown.
Yeah, it's so good. I'm struggling to even come up with points. It's my first watch. I'm eager to actually go back and experience it again.
Yeah, sure.
There's just something so addictive about these detective stories, and just the efficiency and the elegancy, the way it's told. Like, all the setups and payoffs, and the acting, and the surprises, the genuine surprises. That moment when she's saying daughter, sister, and getting slapped.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what does she mean by that? What do you mean? You can't seriously mean what I think you mean. And then it actually goes down that road. It's so dark. It's so enthralling.
And great casting too. Like the grandfather, or whatever we want to call him. He was just. I was cringing in a different kind of way. You know,
in a good way.
He made me very uncomfortable, which is what it's supposed to be, right? So.
And Nicholson plays off all these people so well. Yeah.
Yeah, very tough to watch.
And just think like the complexity of the story, and I'm guessing, I don't know if it was shot in order or not, but the way it seems like, he's retaining all this information and he's slowly learning, over the course of the movie. Like, you believe it in his expression.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. He's just so fucking fantastic.
How he decides to interact with each person.
Yeah. Even though he's just a guy, you get the sense that he has a lot of ability to do, to I don't know, solve the crime or whatever, because he's just very smart. He's a very smart, capable person.
Yeah, and even with the complexity of everything that's going on, you always are able to keep up. And when there are things you don't understand, it's purely intentional because you're about to find out.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun for a movie back then. It's a lot of spectacle. Like you said, it's exciting when the water comes down the pipe or whatever, the canal, the car chase. Shootouts. Yeah, it's great. It's exciting stuff.
You mentioned the nose thing earlier. That is like one of the best blood practical effects I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was really impressed by that.
I rewatched that part. It's just as convincing on the second time. It's not because I was like unexpecting it and just like looked away or blinked. It's like, holy shit, that's just a great effect. And it makes sense that like Roman Polanski would be the one to play the dude, because if you're trying to convince Jack Nicholson as an actor, like how this is going to work, like, as the director, you're going to be the one that's probably going to want to operate that and get the right movement. It would probably be just a little too difficult to try and communicate that to somebody else and have it like just be the way that you envision it in your head. So obviously, fake knife was probably made out of like, I don't know, plastic, just not unsharpened
paper,
something. Yeah. But then blood tube behind it, and because it was like in his nose and just like the right perfect speed and motion, and like the moment that the blood comes out, it's like, holy crap, it's like, it's so convincing. And then the entire costume or makeup or both that we want to say is his like bandage on his face the entire movie. For a lot of the movie, for much more than I would have expected, because this happened so early, I'm like, oh, I guess this is like his character now. I'm glad that they didn't put him that way on the poster. I'm glad that the poster version of him was not bandage face, because that would have spoiled that moment. And I wound up watching the original trailer. The original trailer kind of spoils it, but whatever. I didn't see that before the movie. And then, you know, as the film goes on, I'm like, oh wow, like there's some nice consistency and continuity to how his character looks. That's cool. But then they take the bandage off, and I'm like, wow, the effects makeup underneath the bandage is actually great. Because like in my head, I'm thinking, well, that's a nice way to cover up what might look goofy if you took it off. But then they take it off and it looks perfect. I'm like, holy shit, well, God, that's some really great makeup work. Like I believed that there was like these stitches there and the dried, you know, like darker looking dried blood around his nose. Like it looked super real. And I was really, really happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned earlier the kind of love scene, so one of the only moments that pulled you out, and I was exactly there with you. It reminded me a little bit of in the original Blade Runner, some of the awkward love scenes that there's just something not right to them. It doesn't feel like the chemistry is quite there.
Like nose all fucked up. It was like the beginning of Fateful Findings.
Exactly. and on top of it, right after he starts making out with her and he's like pushing his nose that we know has been sliced.
I would love for him to say ow once.
yeah. That's what I was waiting for.
It was weird.
Aside from that was the only time I was pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
Great costumes. Some interesting stuff, especially going on with Faye Dunaway. A little fishnet thing on her face. I don't know what to call it. A lot of good variety in her costumes and a lot of cool looking stuff. Really added a lot to the character.
All the authentic vehicles, like the 30s vehicles with the wood paneling and stuff. I loved all those kind of details.
Yeah, it's a great authentic period piece type movie. Yeah, really super well crafted, well done movie that you don't often see, and it's a little annoying, a little sad that one of the greats is also kind of a monster. There was a line near the end of the film. Let's see if I wrote this one down. That just really stood out to me. Oh yeah, so the villain in this film, when justifying, when you know Jack Nicholson is saying, "I know you raped your daughter" or whatever. He didn't say that verbatim, but the response line was something along the lines of, most people don't have the opportunity to realize that at the right time in the right place, they're capable of anything. And that's how he justified it. I'm like, holy shit, that sounds bad in retrospect now. That sounds like a weird justification.
It's definitely a villain's motivation.
Yeah. And also, like the crime, the Roman Polanski raping a 13-year-old or whatever, that happened at Jack Nicholson's house, and that's always brought like a weird layer to it of just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
yeah, what is happening?
That's such a shitty thing to do. Because then you've implicated Jack Nicholson in a crime too, right? Yeah. As if the raping a 13-year-old isn't already bad enough, I guess. But
the whole thing is just so fucked up.
And then so now, I guess, like, where would we be right now in the conversation of Roman Polanski if he had served time in jail and that was it? Because, like, there's arguments that people make, and I don't necessarily agree with them, but there's arguments that people make of saying, like, oh, the victim has already said that she forgives him and just wants the controversy to end or whatever. It's like, yeah, but it's still pretty bad. I wonder where we would be right now if we had both that and him actually serving time in jail. Because then at least you could argue, it's like, oh, he did his time.
Yeah, because he fled the country, didn't he?
Yeah, he kind of just dipped to France and then won an Oscar and then starred in Rush Hour 3.
It would be the same conversation. It doesn't excuse what he did. He's just still a fucking piece of shit. Yeah, he can go fuck himself. But no matter whether he's in jail or not.
Polanski, for me, was the first kind of artist that really made me start struggling with that. Because I watched The Pianist, and then when I was researching after, this was a long time ago, was when I, read into his history and then started that kind of art versus artist conflict in me. And it's also why I've kind of avoided his other films too, because wasn't really sure how to feel about it. And it is such a strange thing when he's undeniably a great director, you know? Like, Chinatown's
he's made
a fantastic
very great
film.
movies. He's been, the director of a few great movies. Film is a much more collaborative art form than I think we're giving it credit for. There's a lot of people who worked on Chinatown or Rosemary's Baby.
That being said, you cannot deny his specific
contribution.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, he is one of the greats. He truly is. Not great human beings, but great directors.
No, that doesn't excuse his actions at all.
Yeah, exactly.
He just happened to direct a film that was very good. Yes.
I always find these things a lot more simple once the artists involved have like died. It's in history. Because it's when they're alive and they're still profiteering off the work and everything that I think it gets complicated.
No matter how many copies anybody buys of his older films right now or doesn't buy, it's not going to affect them really. Like, it's going to affect like his estate. like he's rich either way. He's not gonna run out of money unless he just mismanages his finances, and even then, that's like completely independent. Well, France doesn't extradite their citizens, so that's why he's there.
Perverts.
Oops, they keep giving him Caesar awards too.
Of course they do, perverts. French.
Well, I was looking. He released that movie in 2019 because I wasn't sure if he'd actually retired before that
he's
controversy. But did you guys see that? An Officer and a Spy?
I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, he won Best Director at the Caesars.
I don't know. The last one I saw from him was Carnage. I remember liking Carnage.
I also remember liking
it was based
Carnage.
On a play.
It didn't make my list though. Yeah. I don't know. I'm of the mindset that like generally it doesn't matter if like the art is worth it. Not saying the crime doesn't matter or whether or not somebody else decides to support them doesn't matter, but like I don't judge somebody for writing him off completely in terms of saying like I'm going to boycott all of his movies and never watch them, even though I think that there are some like legitimate masterpieces in there. I'm not going to judge somebody for that. That's up to them to make that decision. You can vote with your wallet, sure. But yeah, I also don't judge people for taking my perspective, obviously, of just saying like, yeah, he's an awful person. So is Jeff Bezos, but I keep buying Amazon. Nike uses like sweatshops. Like every chocolate bar that you ever buy is using slave labor.
Disney,
right? So
recently with the Mulan controversy.
Yeah,
but I still watch Marvel.
Nestle has probably abused more children than Roman Polanski.
Oh, yeah,
let's be fucking
really
honest.
Bad.
But that doesn't. I mean, it's
like
it's
that
up to
cupcake
you
shop
to
gets
decide
the batter
whatever you do.
from whatever.
Yeah,
you could say that about anything. Yeah.
I think that these films are more valuable than a chocolate bar. So. That's where I'm kind of at with it. I don't think that I'm making a gigantic change in his life whether or not I decide to watch some of his older films. I think that the damage has been done both in terms of the longevity of his career and finances and also the crime that he committed and the victims associated with that crime. So you can't really undo any of that.
It doesn't really affect the writing of the characters in the movie or anything because the movie's just still solid.
Oh yeah, Death of the Artist.
It's really well done, and you can't really take away from that. That's why I hope he dies because then we could appreciate Chinatown a little more.
I mean, everybody dies, so whenever.
Yeah, I hope he dies soon.
He's really old too.
He doesn't have to be physically dead for him to be like dead to us, like death of the director, death of the artist, it's like the concept where somebody can make something and you can interpret whatever the hell you want out of it. You can get something out of a movie that the director didn't intend, because at the end of the day, interpreting art doesn't necessarily require the director's approval. It doesn't require the director to be alive. It doesn't require the director to explain their intentions about what the art should be. So I don't know. In that same sense, I don't really feel like him being physically alive or dead is going to change how I feel about any of the movies that I watch from him. It's like, yeah, these are great movies. He's a very talented rapist.
We're talking about him like he's the sole artist of this movie, which he isn't. We could say the producers had just as much of an influence on this movie as he did, or the actors.
I mean, he works with a lot of different people throughout his career and consistently made a lot of masterpieces.
Consistently, his movies are very good. I'm just talking about Chinatown on its own or Rosemary's Baby. It's a huge collaborative film.
No, yeah,
I
know, but the director's at the helm, and
well, the credit
as I pointed out earlier, there are like a lot of specific changes he made to the screenplay, some that I agree with and some that I disagreed with. And if you listen to interviews and behind the scenes featurettes and stuff about not necessarily just from him, but other people that worked on the movie, you'll learn really specific things that he's responsible for and that he's not. And I think that overall, he's responsible for a lot of really, really fantastic stuff in art, a lot of really great filmmaking decisions. And whether or not he's a asshole child rapist that deserves to be in jail doesn't really conflict with that. These are two different conversations to me. So
yeah, no, I'm with you. They are different, but important
in the same way that a pandering Oscar film that touches on legitimate social issues that I agree with isn't necessarily a good movie. They're separate conversations. You can be the most perfect person with the best intent, the best intentions, and be talking about serious social issues that deserve to be talked about right now and still make a shit movie. In the same way that you can be an actual fucking pedophile and make really great movies. Right? Separate conversations to me. But I'm glad we had this conversation. And
sure.
Yeah.
Roman Polanski, controversial figure.
I mean, it's a necessary thing to talk about.
It's the elephant in the room whenever he comes up. Yeah.
If you ever talk about a Polanski movie, you have to like give a little bit of the by the way, he's not really a good guy here.
I just don't give him the full credit.
Yeah. I don't know if I
film is much more collaborative art form than that.
Well,
okay. It's his movie.
Then you're not allowed to hate Wes Anderson because it was all the other people on set.
They definitely brought something to it. Yeah. Wes Anderson.
Yeah, fantastic writing, fantastic directing, fantastic editing. The music was great. I really liked the music in this because it started out really subtle, perfectly matched the tone and the buildup of the film as it went along. The energy of the soundtrack and the rhythm of the score built up with the information that was coming out. And so all these new transitionary scenes reflected that, and they reflected the energy of the character. And it was just so appropriate and well done.
Yeah, I love the opening credits too. Just the style of them. It's like a little thing to mention, but it sets the tone very perfectly. For me, like an opening of a film is very important. Yeah, I don't know. There's no flaws with this film. I think it's excellent. Masterfully made, looks excellent. Jack Nicholson fucking kills it. Faye Dunaway kills it.
Yeah.
Would we all go 10? Or 5 out of 5 stars, I'm going to say, if we're going to do ratings now.
Yeah, I'm torn on 9 or 10. I normally need a couple watches to properly solidify how I fully feel, but I'll settle on 9 for now.
Yeah.
4.5 star.
I'm on 9 also.
But potentially a 10.
Yeah. 9 out of 10. Love it. There are 10 out of 10 elements to it. Overall, my experience was just a little short of being one that I would consider up there, although I totally understand people that rate it a 10. Yeah, Rosemary's Baby and The Pianist are better than this in my opinion, but I would like to rewatch The Pianist because I haven't seen it in a long time. Yeah. Awesome movie. Check it out.
Yeah. I don't think I would rate the film lower because the director's a predator, because how do you even measure that? It would just be a 0 then. So let me just
negative
go with the rating
10 out of 10.
Yeah, like you can't even measure something like that. So don't even try. He's a sick person. He deserves to die, hopefully soon. Rot in hell.
Death comes sooner than you think, Ralph. We'll all get there eventually, don't you worry.
Great. And that's Chinatown.
Okay, let's do some questions from the Sardonicast community. If you want to leave your own questions for us to answer in future episodes, head over to the subreddit where there'll be a suggestion thread. You can ask whatever you like. Let's do this one then from Alex Cool. So, Quentin Tarantino said he's going to retire after he directs his 10th movie. He's directed 9 if you count the Kill Bills as one movie. Do you think he'll actually retire? Sorry, A, do you think he'll actually retire? And B, do you think his film will finally connect the Tarantino cinematic universe built around red apple cigarettes, Samuel L. Jackson, and feet? So he's said this for a long time, a very long time. I feel like I've heard this, and I've never really known whether to believe it or not. is it a gimmick, or how do you guys feel about it?
He sees it as a way to cap himself off. Like, I'm going to make 10 movies before I make shitty movies. Because a lot of directors do that in their career.
Yeah.
So if he wants to stick with that rule that he's made for himself, cool. If not, then whatever. I'm sure he'll make good films after. And even regardless, if he doesn't make films, he'll make plays. He'll write books. He'll do something else. But I don't think he's going to stop making films. Maybe in Hollywood, because I don't think they like him there. But whatever. I mean, they like that he makes money.
Yeah, surely that's why they keep him around.
Yeah.
The money bit.
They don't like his language, his potty mouth, or the amount of violence, or any number of things, controversial elements in his movies. I could see that being the reason why he'd want to end his career now, because like these fucking people are crazy, coming after him.
Yeah,
and he's he's fairly finicky, isn't he? With like when Hateful Eight leaked, he almost didn't make the film.
Oh yeah, the script.
Yeah, the script leaked. So I don't know. He's just a weird guy. I don't really trust what he says in terms of this kind of stuff. I mean,
see what he feels like.
It'd be cool conceptually if he just makes the 10 and then moves on to maybe just writing or plays or something.
Acting. Please don't do acting.
He becomes a foot masseuse.
Foot masseuse.
Yeah. His real dream. Fuck movies.
Open a foot massage
what if his 10th movie is like a Norbit style Quentin playing?
Isn't he trying to do some Star Trek movie?
I heard about that, but I don't know if it ever like an R-rated Star Trek. Yeah.
Is that supposed to be his 10th? Like, I don't know. Like, his 10th would be his next one, right? Is that what the implication?
I suppose so. Yeah.
I don't know, because a lot of directors say that they'll retire and then they don't. Cough, Miyazaki, cough. I don't know. It just
Kill Bill is 2 movies, so
it's not. Whatever. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Whatever happens. He'll make a decision either way. I don't know. It's weird to speculate on that kind of thing. I don't know him.
Okay.
I'm not his friend.
Rayshell_raw_butts has a quick one. Alex, as I've been watching your videos, I've noticed you pronounce the word frustrated differently than how others might say it. The A seems to be held longer, like frustrated. What are some other words that you guys say that may sound out of the ordinary to other people? Have you guys noticed that?
No, not really. They're both right. You just put more emphasis on one. Frustrated is what I...
Frustrated. You say it, Adam? Just so I can get a point of reference?
Frustrated. That's how.
Maybe I'm getting it wrong.
This is the Canadian way. Does it sound weird? Does it sound weird to you? I can't.
What if yours is the normal one, though?
Yeah. I would argue that I'm normal.
I say water weird. Well, I say water. That's like the New York. It's water.
If we're gonna get into this conversation, my roommate wanted me to ask you, Alex. Do you say doing the washing up or to do the washing up instead of just saying do the dishes?
Yeah, I'm gonna go do the washing up.
Oh, that's great.
That is the thing. But yeah, we still call it a dishwasher. I mean, it's just when you hear the perspectives of people from other countries, it just my whole world is collapsing around me. Like my biscuits, my jammy dodgers, my aluminium. It's all just fucked.
Biscuit aisle.
The hundreds of millions or hundreds of thousands or whatever the hell.
Oh yeah.
So if I as a North Americaner would say, if I were to compare two things and be like this/that, you would say this/that. Am I mistaken?
Well, I don't know with that one because I'm extra fucked because my dad is from New Zealand and they have a bunch of Americanisms, so they say like pants instead of trousers, and they say like chips instead of fries, I guess.
Oh, they say fries instead of
I'm
chips.
I'm confusing myself in my head. So,
that's the opposite.
Yeah, so growing up, like I would just say just whatever one my gut told me. So my whole life has just been like thrown off course. So to be honest, I'm not.
You've been between two worlds.
We got a bit of that in Canada. We do like we use like metric and imperial depending on what it is. Like, I mean, not like in school we use metric, but like, I don't know, if we weigh ourselves, we're going to say how many pounds we are. We're not going to say how many kilograms. It's weird. But if we're weighing like food, if we have like a kitchen scale, we're going to weigh that in like grams. So we just like pick and choose.
I know my weight in
it's
stone.
Really stone. Oh yeah, you're weird. That's like an exclusively UK thing, isn't it? Like that's.
I don't know if it's relevant anymore.
Because like kilograms is like every other like European or Commonwealth, right?
Yeah, I think most people have adopted that, but I'm still on stone.
Stone.
So.
What is that? It's just actual rocks.
Yeah, you pile up rocks and you just see if you weigh the same as them.
It's better than feet.
Like,
everyone's foot's different. Whatever. All right, that was fun. I'm glad we cleared that up. That
I know.
That when you grab the fairy liquid to be doing the washing up.
Like, M. Night needs an Oscar, as one for us. Is there such a thing as a so bad it's good video game? If so, what are some of your favorite examples?
Life is Strange, done. Every Don't game.
I want to contest that slightly, because I'm with you for... I think I tried the first Life is Strange until, I think it's episode 3. There's this point where you're on like an abandoned train station or something. You got to find these 5 items or some shit, and I just couldn't.
Oh, it was in the junkyard?
It was so boring. Yeah, in the junkyard, yeah.
Yeah, and Chloe's too fucking lazy that you have to do all the work.
Yeah. That's the exact bit I got to.
Yeah, she's supposed to be like your best friend.
Just pissing me off. Yeah. But I'll agree otherwise. Yeah, I was having some great laughs from that
Oh, it's so silly. Can't
One
wait.
day, maybe.
Hyped for the third game.
Have you played A Way Out? It's like a co-op prison escape
I have.
game.
I've heard about it.
That's
a
guilty pleasure. It's very funny. You're supposed to play it with someone else.
It's so silly. Their new game's actually a lot better. It Takes Two.
Okay. Really?
I would recommend. It's longer and more fun. The maps are so much more varied. The story's fucking stupid, so don't get discouraged when you see an opening cutscene.
Yeah, the story of A Way Out's stupid too.
Yeah, but like the story in It Takes Two is it's stupid, but doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's a fun game.
It Takes Two. It's not
another
It's not a great name.
Oh,
It Takes Two, baby.
Yeah.
For me, whenever I need a good guaranteed laugh, I just install Mass Effect Andromeda. And just play like the first hour or two.
Okay, that sounds fun because I still haven't.
Yeah, I think enough time has passed where you can go in and just fuck around with it, and it's genuinely so broken. And if you just wiggle the stick in a certain way when you're walking around, it looks like your main character's shit herself.
That's great. That's awesome.
It's actually so funny.
Scoot hasn't seen any of the Mass Effect stuff, so I'm probably going to play through the remastered shit and introduce him to that.
That way. In that case, don't start with Andromeda if he's never seen
Andromeda
Mass Effect again.
And we'll see.
Yeah, because it's not a good first impression for that universe.
Yeah. Andromeda's pretty funny, just from clips I've seen. I'll play it one day. It'll be on discount, probably for like $10.
Have you played the other Mass Effect games? Right?
Yeah, the other ones are good. 2 and 3 are really good. Except the end of the end of 3 sucks, but most of 3 is pretty great. 1 I haven't played. No.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I started with 2 on the 360.
Yeah, I started with 2, but went back to 1. Then 3 came out. Yeah.
Yeah, those are really good. Unlike Andromeda.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see how they hold up with this re-release that's coming out soon.
Yeah, we'll see. Fucking BioWare pretending that they're a game company.
Yeah. But also they're doing that thing where they might be toying with the art direction a little bit, might be changing the mood.
No more butt shots. Sorry, Miranda fans.
No more butt shots. Oh yeah, that's
no more butt shots.
It's real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's one that's really gratuitous, and it's like, whatever. You can still play the old game. I don't care. But yeah, like, I don't know. There's always something that you can fuck up in a remaster, even if it's just cosmetic upgrades. There's always weird decisions that would make you go, why did they change that? You know, we see this in the Silent Hill HD collection. We see this in
they better
Halo
not remove the
Anniversary.
gratuitous sex scenes or the romance options.
Yeah, you know what's weird is they have the ability, and I don't think that they'll actually do this, but they have the ability to have a male-on-male romance option with Garrus, and I don't think they're gonna do it.
I was gonna say, can't you fuck Garrus?
You can as a woman, but since you all of the lines of the game are recorded by both voice actors. They don't specify, like the two actors, Jennifer Hale and what's his face, show up and they read the exact same lines. They don't separate any of the lines, just so it's all consistent. And so some of the romance options, if you actually look in the files of the I think it was the second game, there are male Shepard takes for the romance options for Garrus. And so somebody was actually they basically just hacked the game a little, just changed one thing in the code, and then they were able to do the romance with Garrus as a dude. So I wonder if they'll try that in the remake.
Sure.
The only reason they didn't do it, like they had all the voice shit. So the only reason they didn't do it is because, like, I guess Fox News would have made another segment about them. Like, alien relationships, that's fine, but not if they're dudes, right? So.
Yeah, that Fox News thing. Whenever I need a good laugh, I go and watch that.
Oh yeah, the Mass Effect.
It's so funny now because
things are so different. Now.
The sex scene they show with that like Liara Mass Effect 1. It's like the tamest, like most terrible looking dated.
It's
thing.
Not even like
so
really profane.
That's what I mean. They better not cut any of that out because that was the best stuff. Like I want to see Miranda's ass in HD in this thing. They better not change any of the cinematography of the cutscenes.
Well,
yeah. I actually haven't seen Let me see this Fox News clip.
Oh, it's pretty funny.
I'm gonna pull it up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could fuck things up. I don't know. I still even if I can romance Garrus as a dude, I'll probably stay as the woman because I like her voice acting better. Male Shep's really annoying.
It's sex box. that's the tagline of Fox News. Sex box.
Oh, that's funny because now we actually have sex box. It's the Xbox Series X.
Yeah,
Series X. Yeah.
It's like there's like a close up on her ass and it's censored. Like, but it's a video game.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Give me a fucking break. It's ridiculous.
Consistently.
Yeah,
on the
that's
right
really
side
funny.
Of history,
they're making like a video game look like it's, I don't know,
like
snuff,
it's ruining the
like the worst thing, like something you'd find on the darknet, like horrible. Like, oh, can you believe this?
Yeah,
they let kids play this stuff.
Yeah,
it's like 2 seconds.
It's so funny. It's really funny because now kids just have access to the internet. It's like, well, oops. Wonder what they're gonna find.
Much worse than that
I guess we'll find out in 20 years when everybody's fetishes are like even weirder than they are right now.
It's like what's that movie? The kid from is the guy from Peter Pan, the main actor, and it's like an LMN movie, Lifetime movie, where he's like addicted to pornography.
Oh, that's funny.
It's like that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but it's that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
All right, what was the question? So bad that it's good games. Life is Strange. Done.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. We started going on about Mass Effect.
Yeah, that's right. Because mine was Andromeda.
I mean, yeah. I was just trying to get back to what the question was.
Yeah. I guess next question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll get one. R/Jar Media has one for us.
Oh.
What do you boys think of James Wan's filmography, apart from Aquaman? Some of his movies, like Insidious, Saw, and The Conjuring, are widely regarded as horror classics, but they seem to get a lot of negativity in film communities. How do we feel about James Wan?
I love James Wan. I don't love all of his movies, but I love him as a director.
Agreed.
And I think that he brings a lot of passion and personality to his films, even the bad ones.
And
even
energy.
Something like, what was it called? Death Wish with fucking Kevin Bacon? Was that what it was called? What was it called?
Death Silence? Death Sentence?
Dead Silence was the stupid doll movie that he made between Saw and...
Oh, it must be Death Sentence then.
Death Sentence. Okay. Yeah, so that movie, boring, bad, stupid, but there's a really great oneer in the chase scene. Like he puts his effort and he puts his passions into it. Dead Silence, boring, bad, stupid, but you can tell he has a love for the fucking creepy puppet animatronic things, right? Obviously, Jigsaw, that was like, I love that I can watch a movie of his and even if I don't like it, I can tell that there's some passion there and I can tell that he loves what he's doing for the most part. Conjuring was decent. Aquaman, epic, so yeah.
Yeah, even his he did the best Fast and Furious movie.
Haven't seen it.
If you attach him to these big dumb like Hollywood movies, I feel like he knows how to handle them really well.
He makes crowd pleasing movies. They're not that deep.
Crowd pleasing, dumb. the energy is what keeps me going. I'm rarely bored in his movies.
Yeah.
I do genuinely like his Saw movie, and I don't really remember. I think I've seen both Insidious and both Conjurings, but it's just a blur of Insidious Conjuring nonsense.
I don't like Insidious at all, actually. I hate Insidious. That would be I don't.
I thought
is
that
that
was
the one with
pretty
Darth
bad, yeah.
Maul?
Yeah, Darth Maul's in it. It's stupid and bad.
Okay.
Yeah. He's
I
produced a
don't
few
love that
films
one.
too. I just wanted to mention he
produces a
produced
lot
the new
of
Mortal
films.
Kombat. Yeah, which is probably why there were like actually Asian people in the new Mortal Kombat, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
Unlike the the 90s one where it's all white people.
Yeah, love him.
Yeah, he's fine. He makes crowd pleasers.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing, though, is like it seems when you watch a movie like Aquaman or Fast and Furious, whichever one he made, you can appreciate it as like, oh, it's dumb fun, but you forget that like most directors would have dumb not fun. Like, I think that there's something to appreciate about him making something dumb and fun. He knows how to make something fun.
Yeah, because there's still an art to that.
Yeah. There's talent there.
You can tell when they're not connecting with the like Fast and Furious like 8 or some bullshit. Like, what? There's no energy there. There's no passion or creativity behind that.
He doesn't make things.
He shines
cynically.
through. He actually leaves his print on it, which is more that can be said for a bunch of filmmakers.
Yeah,
of that tier.
most directors.
Whiskey Food has one for us. What are your favourite and least favourite movie trailers? My favourite would be, and I know I'll get shit for this, the trailer for Joker. I just think it's so well put together and set the mood and tone so well, I can't help but love it as well as the film. And my least favourite trailer would be for the Coen brothers' Hail Caesar and Clooney's Suburbicon, also written by the Coens, because they completely misinterpreted the movie. Though the trailers themselves are fucking fantastic, I highly suggest you check them out just to see how manipulative the marketing was. Also, thanks to Adam's Twitch chat for giving me the idea for this question.
Least favorite trailers would be ones that spoil the movie, like Death Proof.
Yeah, your Blade Runners.
I like the movie.
Yeah.
Don't ever watch the trailer. It's just the whole movie. Perhaps there's, perhaps it's satirical.
All their trailers were like that. Indiana Jones, they spoil everything.
Yeah,
Those trailers.
perhaps
we
it's
talked about those
poking at
recently.
it.
Yeah, I wanted to mention one of my favorite ones was like the Dark Knight Rises, Dark Knight trailers. I thought all those were
that was a
great.
good
They didn't reveal
marketing.
too much. Great music. Yeah, I love those. Those are like exciting, epic movies. It's the new Batman movie. You get excited for that thing. You want the trailer to be good. Sadly, most trailers aim to be in the middle because they don't want to, I don't know, blow people away or offend people or something.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of bland. That one stands out. I love Mad Max Fury Road also. That's a really good
that
trailer.
had a great trailer.
Yeah. Least favorite.
I liked the Man of Steel trailers. I thought they were way better than the movie.
Yeah.
Using like the Lord of the Rings score and that imagery and the narration. It seemed like it was like, oh, maybe Zack Snyder. It's all been building to this, but it was actually Justice League it was building to.
The CGI mustache. Yeah, that was a big dud. Man of Steel. I remember liking the trailers too.
Yeah, and as far as like worst trailers, just another Zack Snyder movie, BVS. That one that had that green Shrek thing like slammed down. It's like so bad. That's when I just checked out. So I'm just never watching trailers ever again.
That's funny.
Remember the Battle Los Angeles trailer? I thought that was a pretty good one. And then the movie just sucked.
Oh
There was
yeah.
Nothing happened.
No, because like I know what you're saying there, but like I don't have a lot of respect for trailers that are only good because of the tone of the music that they put in, and the tone of the music doesn't match the film. That would be one of those trailers. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have a lot of respect for that. It's dishonest and manipulative and misleading, and also doesn't take a lot of skill. Where it's like, oh, this made the movie seem a lot better than it was. I don't think that there was a lot of skill involved in that. I think that they were just manipulative about it. My favorite trailers come from the directors of the films themselves, not out of principle, but just because they happen to work out that way rather than a marketing team. So a good example of this was There Will Be Blood, where PTA made his own trailer and leaked it onto the internet, and this without without any studio permission, and then it got like a bunch of hype, and the studio was like mad, but they were like, well, I guess you did a good job marketing the movie. It was literally just like this weird you know, it had like a Daniel Playview's monologue where he was like sitting next to the fire or whatever, and then just like, you know, a bunch of different clips from the movie encapsulating the tone without really giving away too much, and really communicating just how weird it is, where it's like this kind of like horror-y thing, but also kind of like exciting, fun, weird, character-driven stuff, where it's like the best trailers, in my opinion, are ones where you get the tone of the movie without being spoiled of the movie. It's an accurate representation of what you're supposed to expect from the film. The White Ribbon is another great example, and this one is not one where it's because Haneke went against a studio's wishes and uploaded his film trailer on the internet that he made himself. It's because I think this has something to do with him living in Austria or whatever organization he works with to distribute his films. But he has a lot of control over his trailers, and it really shows. So I was just starting the Michel Haneke hype train. I had decided that he was my favorite director, and this was shortly before The White Ribbon was coming out. And so this trailer I watched like 100 times, and I was so young and so hyped for The White Ribbon, and it explains everything that I am to expect about the experience of the movie without spoiling the whole movie. It's like it's perfect because I get to know what to expect without spoiling the experience. I just get hyped for it. So yeah, those are my two examples, both made by the directors of the films that they're marketing. I wish that there was more control given to directors in terms of how their films were marketed, because then we wouldn't see nonsense like fucking Blade Runner 2049 spoiling that Harrison Ford is in it in the poster and the trailer. Fuck you, Sony.
Yeah, Terminator Genesis. That they spoiled John Connor as
awful.
Terminator. Yeah.
Inception's quite a classic trailer, isn't it? It kind of changed the game a little bit.
Yeah, I think Chris Nolan has a lot of involvement. I don't know if he literally edits them himself, but I'm sure he has a lot of collaboration with the marketing department.
Yeah, when you're that big,
because they're usually really good.
You.
Yeah, his trailers are usually really great. Interstellar's got a good trailer.
J.J. Abrams basically relies on trailers to get people to see his movies.
Yeah, he's a dishonest prick.
It's all about the marketing.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck yourself. I think he has a lot of control over his trailers in terms of how dishonest they are, because he loves doing that. He loves just tricking people into watching his shit.
What was his first huge success? Was it Lost or Cloverfield?
Lost.
He was attached
Lost
to that.
Lost was much earlier than Cloverfield.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Blue balling
I'll check
the show.
out Lost one day. I actually hear Lost isn't, I mean, it blue balls you a little bit, but it's still a great show, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I hear nothing but great things about it.
Mm-hmm.
One day. His movies suck, though.
Okay. Let's end on this one from Alex Cool, who says, what's the most radically your opinion on a film has changed? Has there ever been a film you've hated the first time you watched it that you now love?
You're cool, Alex. Just referencing the name of the guy. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Not really. I feel like I'm pretty cemented on my ratings. I've never swapped on a film that much. Maybe minor, like a point, like half a star, but that's it.
Yeah, for me it's more when there's been a huge time jump, like being 16 years old and watching 2001 and thinking it's shit, and then going a few years later and being like, oh my god, what's wrong with me?
Yeah. You're a different person at that point. So
yeah, okay, fuck that guy.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah, my ratings don't. I wouldn't call any of my rating shifts to be radical.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, they can jump over time, especially from child to adult. Like that's a big one. Like I don't think Richie Rich is a good movie in this current year. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never gave it a rating when I was 7 years old or whenever that was.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there was a radical change there. But yeah, I think over time the most that I think something has jumped for me would be like 4 points. So if I loved something when I was like 13, then I could have given it a 10 on IMDb, and then maybe like today I give it a 6 or something. Maybe. I don't know if that there is an example of that specifically, but that seems like the most it could happen.
Fair enough.
I guess that's it.
Yeah.
We got it.
We did it, boys.
Another one in the can.
We got him. And now it's time for a recommendation from Ralph.
A recommendation. Yeah, I believe it's my turn to recommend a movie. So I'll recommend something a little fun, a little light, from the director John Woo. The movie came out in 1997.
Oh no!
It's called Face Off.
I knew it. Okay,
awesome.
John Travolta and Nicolas Cage. Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
if you don't
let's check that out.
Guess I'm watching Face Off again.
Yeah.
I haven't
don't want to be
seen Face Off
spoiled
for a long time.
for Face/Off, or
yeah, that's a slash in there.
Yeah. What? Hold on. Let me check my notes. Yeah.
I'm gonna take
or as Alex would say, Face/Off.
Face/Off.
Yeah.
Stroke.
We don't want to be spoiled for
Stroke
Face
Off.
Off, 1997, John Travolta, Nicolas Cage, John Woo. Watch it before the next episode comes out. These episodes come out every 2 weeks. You can listen to these early. Go to sardonicast.com. Sign up for premium, $2 a month. Also, patreon.com/sardonicast. Also, we got merch. Also, we didn't do any sponsorships because those are stupid, and so give us money instead. Thank you. I was going to make a joke when I rated Chinatown, and then I forgot. I was going to be like, Chinatown, more like 9 out of 10. Is that a good place
you
to
cut
end?
it out, but then
That was a pretty good joke.
You got it back in. You got it in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go back in
That's
time.
good.
I'll edit it. But I
Just
won't.
edit in like 4 times.
That'd be bad. Forget it, Jack.
Forget about it.
Forget about it, Jack. Jake, it's Chinatown. Oh yeah, there was I just want to mention right before this ends. There was like a sequel called The Two Jakes, directed by Jack Nicholson in the 90s. That I was
sequel to Chinatown.
Yeah, it's not
didn't know
very
that.
well received. I didn't bother watching it, but yes, we are aware of it now.
The Two Jakes.
Oh,
I don't know if
weird.
I'll ever see it.
The Two Jakes. Interesting name.
Couldn't imagine
Yeah,
it
that's
being
him.
that great. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye bye.
Okay,
Thanks,
bye, everyone.
Bye.